Hello and welcome to another episode of Expressions Podcast, where we speak to creatives of all types and find out what makes them do the things they do. Passion, energy, and talent is what sums up our guests this week. The guys from the band Ship of Fools have come on to share these things with us and to get into what makes them do what they love to do. Heavy metal music is amazing, and these guys do it so good. So thank you for being here this week, guys, and welcome. And for everybody who's watching, thank you for being here too. Remember to like, subscribe to our channel, tell the world that we're doing this because we have a great time doing this every week. And let's get to it. What do you guys think?
Sounds good.
Fuck yeah.
Man. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm into it.
Andrew, Greg, and Niall, three guys from the band. Thank you so much for being here. I've heard that there's a new bass player in the works. Is there something about a new bass player?
We are on the hunt.
All right. Well, we'll talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, we're on the hunt in the next few months, hopefully.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've been watching videos all day of you guys. I shouldn't say all day. I've watched 3 videos. It didn't take me all day.
Weird. They're about a minute long each. So.
But what took me all day was I ended up watching Davey 504. Where'd you go? What's going on?
I got a text and my phone buzzed.
Oh, you know what the YouTube does to you? You start watching you guys. Next thing you know, I'm watching Davey 504 talk about bass players from Japan. So, yeah, gotta love my squirrel brain. But
it's the YouTube hole.
What's that?
It's the YouTube hole.
It is. It is. It's like the McDonald's syndrome too. You ever hear about the McDonald's conspiracy?
Oh shit!
No.
Interesting thing.
Yeah, they just put grease in everything so badly that it makes you drink more pop, and they make more money from the pop. So it's like this cycle.
Fuck. That's why I love root beer so much lately. What the fuck?
Exactly.
God damn it!
All right, guys.
Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with the root beer. Is awesome. Just
Awesome. Root beer is the best. All right, guys. Let's not go too far here. Before we get into our meat and potatoes of the conversation, I do want to say hello to our hosts this week, Sean and Mark. Good seeing you guys again. Always good to see you. How have you been?
Mark, take the floor, bud.
I've been awesome. Did a little road trip on the weekend down to Duluth, so that was kind of cool. 3.5 hours to go to Dairy Queen for lunch, so it was kind of interesting. But yeah, there's like one around the corner. So
where's the movie? Sounds like something like
I know.
Yeah.
Well, the funny part is I went to take pictures. There's a lighthouse down there I want to take pictures of, but by the time we got there, it was closed, and I couldn't take pictures. So we ended up doing a 3.5 hour drive to buy $30 worth of shit at Walmart. So yeah, fun. Yeah.
That's what the spice of life is, though. It's adventures like that.
It was, it was a good drive. The dogs enjoy the drive, and we had them out to walk a couple of times. So yeah, it was a good trip.
Awesome, cool. Sean, how about you, man?
Fuck, man, I've been fucking working a lot, dude. It's been snowing like a son of a bitch down here, so I'm constantly just out and all night and all day just shoveling snow, and it's all fun and games. But when I get home, I'm on the hunt for new underglow because the guy who did mine shit the bed and it's fallen off, so I have to get new underglow for the car.
Oh,
do you actually drive your car in the snow?
Yeah, believe it or not, I have no money and I can't afford another one. So if I did, probably would have bought another like beater Corolla anyways. So
you should probably try putting the tires on it, man.
Yeah, dude, trust me, I'm very impatient.
Driving around on 4 rotors, just
No, I got my winners on, and I'm so impatient. I want to put these wheels on so bad, man. The second I get the nicest day, I'm fucking putting them on. I'm going for a rep. I have to.
Nice.
It will snow the next day.
Oh God, I hope not.
been there, done that. Yeah.
Well, I had quite a weekend. I was shooting wrestling for 2 different events.
Nice.
It was awesome, and I saw a guy break his leg, which was not awesome. And wrestling can be tough. I did, but I didn't take pictures after it happened. I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
You're shooting, it happens, and then you realize what's happening after the fact. You're like, okay, I'm not gonna, that's gonna make me sick. Poor guy, Aiden Prince, awesome wrestler, and just took a bad landing. Hope he's gonna be okay. He's probably gonna be out for a while, but yeah. Destiny Wrestling. It's a lot of fun. All right. That's enough out of me and out of us. It's not about us tonight. It's about you guys. It's about your band, Ship of Fools. And I'm so excited that you're here. So thank you again for taking the time out of your day to be here. And I just want to comment on where you're located right now, because Probably the coolest location anybody has ever done our show from. So, first of all, thank you for being here. Maybe I'll throw it to you for a quick second, Andrew and Greg, since you're on the left side of my screen. Maybe you can start off, introduce yourselves, and tell us where you're at right now.
So my name's Andrew.
I'm Greg.
This is Greg. Right now we're at Old Flame Brewing Company. We have 3 locations. We are at the Newmarket location, just having some beers. I just finished work. And we're stoked to hang out with you guys.
Awesome. Very cool.
Yeah.
And Niall, how about yourself, man?
Oh,
You're in
Niall.
the same place.
Yeah, just in a different room for sound issues.
So is there a reason why they keep you guys separate? Is it you don't play well with each other when you're not on stage, or?
No, it's just
Okay.
like we just closed the door now because we can hear too much of Niall. So it's just for audio purposes.
All right. So yes, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's true. You get a lot of echo if you're in the
100%.
same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Fuck the
Well,
mic.
right after work, taking the time to be here, that's diehard. I appreciate it, man.
No problem,
Thank
man. No problem.
Thank you for having
And
us.
Old Flame Brewery is somebody who I've actually tried to contact in the past to ask to be on our show, get the master brewer in here. And so thank you for being here.
Well, he's downstairs, so I'll let him know.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
down the road, and then we'll have you on with him too. But anyway, the band Ship of Fools, how did that get started? And before we get to that, actually, I should just say that Greg and Niall also are people that I deal with on a regular.
There we go.
I love it. Yeah, I was just saying, these are guys that I also deal with on a regular basis at work. You also work. Are we allowed to say where you work? Do you want
Sure.
to do that?
Yeah, I don't care.
All right, cool. So you guys work at Canada Post, and you guys come in and pick up our packages all the time, and that's how we started to talk about this and getting into music. And of course, I hear music, I get piqued, and I want to talk more because I love all kinds of music. And then you told me you're in a band together, and I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. We got to have you on the show. So that being said, Ship of Fools, how did that start? How long have you been together? And why did you choose this kind of music?
So Niall and I went to high school together.
And Greg.
Well,
And Greg, yes. And
Yeah.
Greg.
But you don't remember Greg.
That
He
comes
was-
later, though.
Greg and I didn't actually know each other until after high school, really. Like, I knew who he was, but we didn't really, like, actually interact at all. Niall and I used to play rugby together, and we started hanging out pretty much just after high school. And Niall was playing in a metalcore band as a drummer. And then I decided that I was interested in trying to jam again and try and get a band going. Every single attempt I'd had at starting a band never worked. So years later, I tried it, and Niall and I started by just jamming together, covering songs, started dipping our toes into writing our own songs. We had a few lineup changes when we first started. We played our first show in November 2014, and then pretty much our first drummer left the band. What was it? 2015.
I don't know how long.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, it was 2015 because that's when we found Greg.
Yeah. So it was February or March February, March of 2015. I had a friend who was a lifeguard at a community pool I was working at, and he reminded me of Greg, and that Greg was a good drummer in high school. And so I got his number and reached out, and Greg didn't like me right away, but he said yes. Enjoyed the band.
What were you going to say there now?
Well, it's just funny how the happenstance of us finding Greg, because Greg lives in Holland Landing and he went to university and then came back, but I did not know he came back. And then just through this mutual friend, it's like, yeah, Greg still plays drums. Like, wait, Greg Nathaniel from high school? And it's like, yeah. And so then he joined up mainly because of our bass player at the time. And then he grew to like us again. Yeah, that's how we got Greg 2015. And then we recorded our first EP?
Yeah.
Broken Knuckles with Sam Reed from Glass Tiger, which was funny. And
Sam
Yeah.
Reed was funny. Okay.
oh
a
no,
note.
no, it was just funny just because it was my first recording as a musician, and then it just. And we walked into this like big studio. It was like, I don't know if I should be here.
It was a bizarre feel because it was the keyboardist of Glass Tiger,
Yeah.
and
You're metal.
Glass Tiger, even though they're from Newmarket and they're definitely like one of the best bands to ever come from Newmarket, it was still not in our wheelhouse. But he set us up perfectly. We recorded a 5-track EP right off the floor in one day, which was pretty intense for your first recording studio experience. We'd saved up a bunch of money out of our own pockets and went to the studio with it and made an EP. And it had its definitely, I listen back to it now, it has its moments where I'm like, what the hell am I listening to? But it was definitely a massive experience for us. I think that EP kind of was the first indication that we could take things a bit serious and take ourselves a bit serious.
One of those moments that just keys you in that this is the right track. You got to keep on trying. Yeah.
I think there's a big thing. I think there's a big thing when you hear yourself for the first time on a record or recorded, and you're hanging, and it's with your best friends. And I look back on it now, and I think it sounds like shit. But at the time, I thought it was the coolest fucking thing in the world.
Right. And it is.
Yeah.
It is the coolest fucking thing in the world because it was that gift, that thing that you guys did that just gelled it, that just got it all together. And then from there you can start focusing and you can start changing and growing and putting your own flavor to things, getting comfortable with it, I would imagine.
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then you just practice it and you practice and you practice.
Yeah.
And, then you develop from there. Yeah, 100%,
awesome.
Man.
Awesome. I've been in bands before. I can't say that they've ever lasted for far too long. I was in a band called 40 Cases Later, if that tells you what kind of music we played. Awesome stuff. I had a great time, and it's been far too long since I've played. But, when I was talking to Greg and he says he played the drums, I was just like, come on. And then I listened, and dude, you're awesome. Like, you are awesome. Were you one of those guys in high school when you were playing the drums, like everybody, you had to be in all the bands and everybody knew that you were just the shit?
No. Maybe. I was in a few bands throughout high school and a few bands before that. I've been playing drums since I was 7, 31 now. So you guys do the quick math on that, but music's always just been part of my my upbringing. My dad actually came from Trinidad and he started steel pan musician, started steel pan band, and would play through like all the school barbecues and everything. So I always kind of grew up around it, and he's the one who actually introduced me to my first drum kit. So kind of just, I guess you take that from 7 years old and put it in high school. Maybe, the talent is there, so maybe, but that sounds arrogant. So I'm going to say no.
That's a great answer. And I totally understand where you're coming from. When I was in high school, the guy was Jeremy Waybright. He was the guy who gave me my first drum set. Actually, my mom bought half of his kit. The influences and the music I listen to today were literally his music. The Police, Rush, Yes, all that kind of stuff from back then. That's all from that era, that time of my life. And I'm now 51 and that's my wheelhouse, right? So those are those years that mean the most, I think, to any musician or any artist. So it's great that you had your father to give you that inspiration and encouragement. My father and my mom were folk music singers, and they were in a band called the Yeomen. My father was, and that's what I was raised on.
Nice.
I think we all have, as a musician, and I say as a musician, I haven't played the drums since I got married, sadly. But yeah, don't look at me that way.
I'm looking at you that way. Yeah.
It's just I live in a semi. I mean, I can't. My mother-in-law's in the basement. What are you going to do? You play the drums, right? Anyway, long story short.
That sounds correct to me.
You get it.
How do you get the mother-in-law out?
Hey, she watches this show. I love my mother-in-law. Okay.
Yeah, I love my mother-in-law too, and she lives 16 hours away, so we're good.
It helps a little more. Yeah.
But I do love her. I could actually live with her. My wife couldn't. So.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Anyway, getting back to our roots and getting back to what molds us. What about you, Andrew? Where did that all come from for yourself?
Oh man, so I've grown up in a very musically driven family, not on the creative instrumental side, but rather the library of music that I was introduced to my whole life. Both my parents are massive music nuts, especially my dad. To this day, I think the only Christmas gifts we get each other are records.
Actual records, like
yeah, like vinyl records. He's gotten back into collecting, which is pretty cool to see as I collect. I've been collecting for the last 20 years now. And he's, initially wrote me off saying I'm wasting my money to now trying to replace all the records that he sold when the CDs came out. And he's doing well. He's on a mission.
That's cool.
But yeah, I just grew up with it. I was the only one in my family to really pick up trying to play an instrument. I still really can't play that instrument, but I try. And yeah, there was a thing with punk rock that really connected with me. My dad, his number one music when he was young was the Ramones, the Clash, and that grabbed me when I was a kid. And then I built my own love for it from there. And to this day, I can listen to all of it like I'm listening to it for the first time. It's pretty awesome.
Good music. That's what happens, man. Doesn't matter.
I think it comes a lot from the messaging in the music as well. There's a lot of social issues, addressing social issues, stuff that, especially in the old, in the 70s, stuff that was going on in the world that you couldn't even say, and let alone there was these bands that were just really just going against the status quo. And, that to me was appealing when I was a kid.
I think it still is, based on some of the music I've heard.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to talk about that. Yeah.
That's for sure. I mean, there is so much. I think of the music that I listened to, like when I was in high school, and a lot of it was very anti-establishment. And I didn't really get into punk until I got out of high school, and that's when I discovered the Ramones and the Sex Pistols and things like that. I was more into the heavier, the Metallica and Megadeth in high school. Along with a lot of the hair metal, because I was a child of the
that's our age.
I was born in the 70s, so it was the 80s. But a lot of the messages were the social issues that they faced as well, and it was just something that drew me into that music. So that's awesome.
100%.
Awesome.
So this is where I differ though, because like I was like a big Slayer kid. Like I'm still a Slayer kid now, but like even in high school, like anything that involved like massacring people and sacrificing humans for Satan was like. Sweet. Down with that.
Yes. And their next ballad, Rain in Blood. It was
And I'm the opposite. I was always scared of that. I'll be honest. Like I mentioned in a previous show with even Rush, looking at the front of their covers, the albums with like the guy, with the big star pentagram thing in front of him. I thought that was Satan. I didn't know. And I was like, oh, I can't listen to that. And I didn't listen to Rush for years until Jeremy got me into it with the music, not the albums. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, when you feel it. Yeah. And even, the way music can touch you years later and you can listen to it over and over and over. I was listening to Tool 46 and 2 in the car, just went for a drive earlier today, and just listening to it again and having the conversation with Sean and Wes about Tool and all the stuff that has happened with my understanding of that song. Again, just listening to it 5,000-6,000 times later, tears and emotions come from what they're trying to say and how it relates to people. So music is amazing what it can do for you. But Niall, we haven't heard from you yet where this all came from for you. So let's do that first.
Oh, I had like the most limited beginning to music, just because like my mom listened to like Garth Brooks and stuff like that. And my dad's not much of a music guy. He's a massive Beatles fan, but just like, it's not like Andrew's upbringing or Greg's upbringing where they had that like first entry. I had to find it, and it was a pretty bad. Like my first like favorite band was like 3 Days Grace, and so I kind of just like opened it up where I really didn't know what real music was until I got to high school. Yeah, like my first actual I'm 100%. That's what it was. Like my first like I guess what you call like heavy or hard album would have been Limp Bizkit's Hot Dog Flavored Water and Chocolate Covered Starfish. And again, that's just like preaching the top. And then it wasn't until like I met a friend of ours, a mutual friend, and he introduced me like metalcore and stuff like that, like Parkway Drive, you know, like local bands as well, like Shortline here, like just like stuff on the more screamo side of things. And so I throughout high school, I pretty much listened to mainly like just metalcore albums. On the heavier side, breakdowns. I love breakdowns and heavier side, and anything with like technical ability. Protest the Hero, which my cousin got me into, and they're to this day my favorite band. And then after high school, I started hanging out with Andrew, and so around like 2012, 2013, that's when I actually got introduced to punk, and now I'm more of a fan of punk now because of that. Like, you know, I'm surrounded by playing in a punk band, obviously now. So yeah, it was a big kind of like metaphorical mountain to climb to really find the music, because I didn't know my own way until I met people later on in life. And yeah.
But that could be the best way too.
Oh, 100%.
You're not imprinted because of your life situation. You're imprinted because your choices.
Yeah. Like, and like all the music I've been shown for the most part has been amazing. And also like even like Andrew showing, always like going back to like the roots of punk, showing me the old stuff, the stuff that I wouldn't normally, cause I'm a big, like, I like some production value, like in the modern era kind of thing to it. So like a lot of older songs don't appeal to me too much, especially in the punk realm. And so like I'm a little picky in that sense, but he always like shows me a lot of like older stuff, like got me into the Clash, like Iggy Pop and the Stooges, and like the earlier stuff that kind of like led the way for what we do now.
And there's so much diversity there that there's something that you're going to like. You don't have to like everything.
Oh,
right?
No.
And it's nice that you have somebody like Andrew to guide you through that world, because how you're introduced. What's that?
He's so lucky.
Sarcasm much? But I mean, honestly, how you're introduced to something dictates how you'll enjoy it.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like you can have somebody try and throw the best music in the world down your throat, and just the way they're doing it, you're just like, fuck you, I'm never going to listen to it. Right?
Well, it's just like even outside of punk, like I'm a massive hip hop fan, and Andrew's middle brother Colin, he got me huge into that. Like he and I fed off that for a while, and just like have a deep love for hip hop music.
That's cool. Well, you guys have been together for almost 10 years, or for 10 years now. 2023, you started in 2013.
Technically, yeah. Like we're, as a band, technically we started in 2013. We didn't play our first show until the 2014, so I think I consider that our 10 year.
Right.
But yeah, like, and then coming up to 2 years from now, which is crazy. Greg will have been in the band for 10 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Especially considering that you were already saying that like you guys didn't really get along at the start.
Well,
Greg's like, why are we bringing this up?
yeah, no,
Had to bring up
Fine, man.
I'm also like the manager of the band.
He's the band mom.
Andrew's
I'm the band mom.
a stubborn
He's in
fool.
charge of all the bookings and all the hotels and making us look good.
So I hold Greg accountable.
Oh my
Yeah. And
Gotcha. And sometimes you just don't want a mom.
he's much better now, but my God, the first few years, fuck, we could have killed each other.
Hey, just like any good marriage, sometimes you got to go through the bad times before you appreciate the good times
100%.
even more. Right?
Now we love it. Now we can sit in the same room.
Yeah.
There you
See
go.
how
Niall
I
in the
got
next round.
separated?
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
That's because you listen to Limp Bizkit and
Oh,
Yeah,
hey,
it's true.
hey.
Hey, sometimes
His
you
first
just gotta
favorite
break
band is
stuff.
3 Days
I mean,
Grace.
come on.
Yeah.
Fuck, throwing
Gotta
these guys
keep
under
rolling,
the bus,
baby.
man.
I'm kidding. I'm only kidding.
No, you
If
know
you
what?
heard the stuff that I listen to, guys, I would be the one
Yeah,
getting the shit right now.
I'm that guy, you know. It's what do you listen to? It's like, oh, it ranges from, hey, that's cool, to please don't judge me, you know. So it's,
Yeah.
but it's funny because
Yeah.
Niall, you were throwing out band names earlier, and Parkway Drive is one that I don't own anything but Parkway Drive, but when they come on the radio, I listen to satellite radio in the car. I like
Okay.
Oh,
turn
they're
it
brilliant.
right up to 11. Like,
Oh,
Fucking
it's just
brilliant band.
awesome, yeah, brilliant.
Like-
Like a lot of that style of music, I listen to Octane on satellite radio, and that's where it all comes out, and it's just amazing to listen to, nice and loud, and you know, beating the crap out of the steering wheel. I used to have long drives that were 8 hours of driving for work, and I'd be playing my air guitar and changing up the strings at the next stop, and new strings on the air guitar, and away you go. So
yeah, like I would like I'm more. I stopped really listening to them after their after Atlas, which I think was 2 releases ago, just because I just couldn't get with their new stuff. Like, it's good, it's still heavy, but their old stuff, man, to this day, still play it in the car, and I get ripped on a lot for still listening to that, but it's just Old Parkway Drive was just the best. But they were one of the first concerts that I saw live. Okay. And it was the first time I was ever in the biggest mosh I've ever been in and getting punched in the face. So there's a nice solid memory of them burned into my brain.
Yeah, that would make me never go to another concert.
There's core memory right there. Right?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Wow. It's funny you say you get with the new stuff. You don't quite get with the new stuff. I have an experience with Geddy Lee where his dentist was a friend of his, was a dentist in the mall that I worked in. And we were talking and he mentioned that he knows Geddy Lee and he's going to go see him. I said, when you see him, ask him, why don't they make music like they used to? Like, how come they don't make 2112 kind of stuff? Like, what's La Villa Strangetta? That shit's awesome. How come they don't make that stuff? They're making this Presto and all this other crap with them. Anyway, so I said this to him.
Holy shit.
Right? I know. Stupid me. Why did I do that? So I get a reply. And basically, Geddy just said, well, the old stuff is still for sale.
No.
And I thought, freaking genius, right?
Yeah.
It is. They did that. That is something that they produced. Yeah. That's something that, like your first album that you may or may not like as much today.
100%.
You did that. And that's as important today as it was then. And you can't discount it just because they come up with something new, right?
That's so ballsy though, man. Like, that's like me going and messaging 100th and being like, yo, what's with this synth shit?
It's not ballsy. It's not ballsy at all. It's just dumbass.
The beat. Bring back the beat, man.
I think
I'm stupid like that.
I think as an artist, you're always looking to, once you've released something, it's okay, what's next?
Yeah.
And it's like I think this fella next to me here is, I don't know if Public Enemy #1 when it comes to that, but as soon as we play our songs, at least I think we play our set, because we have to, once we release an album, you obviously got to play the album. He just can't wait to get back writing again. And I think that's just a progression of just you just want to keep the creativity going, and the creativity doesn't just stay in one lane. It has to move around, or you're just going to get bored. Yeah. And I think that's one thing that we as a band, if you listen to our first couple of records, we haven't changed over the top too much, but there's people that my cousin has come up to me being like, man, I love your old stuff. Your new stuff sucks. And, that sucks. This is where
just the bad, huh?
Well, I think a lot of bands get ripped on like that too when their music evolves, and you end up you're in a different place in life as well. Like the classic example I can think of is Metallica, right? Because you think about Kill 'Em All to the Black Album, that span. And then it's well, in Kill 'Em All, they were young and poor and living like 4 guys in a van, and they were angry. And now they're not so much angry anymore because they're carrying bags of money everywhere they go, and they try to sound angry, but they're not because they got bags of money. And well, except Lars. I mean, he was pretty pissed that people were downloading stuff illegally off Napster, but that was another thing. But there's an evolution to a band that stays together, right? And to Brian's question, I mean, the 2112. The new album can't be 2112. I guess I am wrong to a point, because Angus Young always says AC/DC has 13 albums that all sound the same, and I guess 14 now. But it's the same 3 chords, right? But it's you've got to evolve, otherwise all of your stuff does sound the same, and you're not going to garner any new fans that way. And hopefully your old fans come along for the ride.
Yeah, you know what? I think the only band that has successfully sounded the same, or being able to really just do it well is the Ramones. And it's that's, basic 3-chord punk rock. They have songs on the same album that are the same chord progression, but you don't really question it because the songwriting's so brilliant behind it. And it's simple. but that's just the beauty of the the Ramones, the legend that is the Ramones, right?
Mhm.
If we can ever speak of our name in that breath, my God, I will die happy. But that's not the case for us. We have to look inside the box, and we have to try and appeal to new audiences, because the people who have listened to us already they've already listened to it. They want to hear something new.
Well, good thing you've got Greg around.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, is that how it works, Greg? Do you write most of the music, or is it a team effort?
So Niall writes all the what I'll call the riffs and plots out what he thinks the song should be, and then I'll add the structure. And Andrew will step in, say, "Hey, we need to make this part longer. I'm thinking, harmonies, blah blah blah, here, vocally." So I wouldn't say it's a team effort, but I definitely have the biggest impact on, like, if I hear a riff that we've played before, I'll pull that up and say, "Hey, we can't do that. We have to."
Yeah.
That's cool.
Well, these guys might say otherwise.
No. It's
No. It's
I've been that way for nearly
Greg's-
10 years. When Greg joined
Greg's
the
got to
band,
keep me in check.
Greg wasn't necessarily our friend, right? When he joined the band, he wanted to just play drums. So he was this blunt. He was blunt, and he still is. Just he's a lot nicer now.
Well, now you have history, so he knows to push the right buttons and not the wrong ones.
100%.
Yeah. No, you got to pick your moments. But no, absolutely. I love that. I love that a lot. A lot of bands that you hear, like, again, I'm going to go back to Tool. They basically, I think it's just Danny Carey and the other guys that write the music. And then Maynard will come in afterward and just create the lyrics that just make a song, and how they fit together. It just blows my mind. So to be able to, as a band, structure it that way, again, in the band that I was in, it was mostly covers. We wrote one original, and it was literally just us. We found a riff and we just kept on playing it for about 30 minutes, and that was about it. So to write an original is a completely different bag. But what kind of covers did you do before you got to the originals?
None.
Oh, you never a cover.
We did one. We did a band called Leatherface from Sunderland, England. We did a cover of one of their songs, Dead Industrial Atmosphere. That's what it was.
That's when I first joined.
And that's when you first joined the band. We had already kind of had that in the works when Greg joined. But since then, this has been a debate that we have at band practice all the time, being like, I've always been of the cloth that says we need to have a cover song to play it, because we do play house shows, we do play, smaller shows that are good time and a good party. And if you can get a song that everyone wants to jump in and sing along to, then it's just adds to the atmosphere. But I've always appreciated Greg being like, no, this is us. We've got so many minutes to play a set. Let's play our shit. And I appreciate that.
Yeah, I get that. Have you ever thought about, though, doing a cover in your style, like taking something that's completely not your style and making it your style, like
the song "Ship of Fools" from Robert Plant?
Well, I mean, that could be a good one, or even take something that's not remotely like you hear.
I initially tried to do. This is before Greg was in the band. I tried to bring in Brian Wilson by Bare Naked Ladies.
Okay.
I just think that could be a really good punk rock song if you just do it the right way.
I love that. Yeah.
But again, it's kind of one of those things that, looking back on it now, it's just like that probably wouldn't fit our style. I've thought about it often.
We could make it work.
Yeah, you just But you have to. We won't know. The thing is, we're also older now. We're all in our 30s, so we have 2 hours.
So old, Brian. Yeah.
3 hours of band practice a week, and it's just like, okay, like this is the time we have to jam. Let's here's our priorities, and covers really just are far off that list right now.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah, like a lot of bands have had success with. I mean, even like I talked about Metallica earlier, they've got a lot of cover songs. Like they covered a lot of, like I'm thinking of, like they did Budgie songs and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to hear somebody's take on those songs.
Mhm.
I like the ones that were never meant to be heavy and that people have turned heavy. Like if you've ever heard a heavy version of something like Uptown Funk, it's crazy, right? There's a couple out there, but there's a few bands that pull them off well. And yeah, I always love the heavy versions better, right? Because that's my style, right? So
100%, man.
Like a band that I listen to, August Burns Red, they do that all the time. They've been doing that since like 2006, where they did Britney Spears' "Hit Me Baby One More Time."
Nice.
They do Christmas albums every year. Like Carol of Bells by them is actually like relatively well known, well viewed on like YouTube.
Yeah.
So like, I'm on that same page. Like heavier versions of like covers are great.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to hear a heavy metal version or a hard rock version, at least, of like a Mozart song, something that you wouldn't even think of.
Yeah.
There's so many possibilities.
Oh, for sure. There's a local band here in Thunder Bay called Rectify, and they've got an album that they did is strictly covers. And they do. I'm not a fan at all. This is probably going to be canceled off the show, but I am not a fan. Cannot stand the Tragically Hip. Just the worst band ever.
Wow.
They do a Tragically
Big
Hip.
show.
Okay.
They do a Tragically Hip cover, and I like it. And it's like, yeah, that's pretty cool. But
That's
Well-
interesting.
I was reading online about what you guys call yourselves. And the quote that I see on your webpage is, "You are a gruff, thrashy, beer-soaked punk rock in the Southern Ontario tradition." So, Southern Ontario tradition.
Oh, no.
Is there a Southern Ontario tradition?
Yeah, I think there is. I think it's just Southern Ontario has, over the last 10 years, has had it's like a roller coaster of a punk rock community. But for the most part, people know how to have a good time. And we've always been of the, when we're on stage, give everything we've got. So technically, the Southern Ontario, where the hell is he going?
Sorry, I gotta grab my charger from my phone.
The Southern
keep going,
I
Roll
thought he
this.
was going for another beer.
Basement of the
at some
fire
point,
hall.
yes.
The Southern Ontario tradition is is just an homage to the bands that have come before us, guys who gave it their all, who enjoy a few beers on stage, and
The Tragically Hip.
like the Tragically Hip. Yeah.
Very much. Yeah. And that's, I think, what was so big about the Hip. And that's why I think Mark feels so bad when he says he doesn't like them. There's a lot of people I know that don't like them. But what people
I don't feel bad that I don't like them. I didn't like them because the music was terrible. That was it.
Well, this is the thing. The music was what it was, but the stage show, the presence of the band was undeniable. I mean,
And
you
that-
see
and that's,
videos.
like Gord Downey. You can say whatever you want about the music, but Gord Downey as a lyricist and as a performer, holy shit.
Yeah, but again, you have to enjoy the music, because I used to do security for concerts, and I did 2 shows back to back on the Phantom Powers tour, and I did 2 shows back to back with NSYNC, and I much preferred NSYNC to anything. Yeah,
wow,
like, just awful.
That's a bold statement.
That is a hot take. Yes,
That's my hot take for.
That's your
for
hot
that.
take.
There you go, yeah.
Just before we go any further, Niall, just so you know, I did mute you because of the wind noise outside. Just so you know, so to talk, you're gonna have to unmute yourself. Cool.
Because you're
Awesome.
annoying now.
I'm surprised he didn't mute me. He's like, "We're gonna get us canceled."
This is Canada, Mark. Come on.
He'll just cut that piece out.
No, gotta leave it in. Gotta leave. This is expressions. We express ourselves.
There'll just be a
Honestly.
big black square right here for the duration of the show. You know?
It's okay. We need some hate mail. Finally,
Yeah.
right?
Any attention is good attention.
Exactly. All right. Now you mentioned Napster earlier, Mark, and it kind of makes me want to ask you guys the question of money, the money in the world of what you do. How does that happen?
What
Not
money?
saying
Yeah.
talk to me.
You know what, man? I'd be lying to you if I didn't say this is a passion project. Technically, it's a part-time job. Technically, we put hours into it, hours and hours into it. But at the end of the day, the punk rock scene, you're not putting a mortgage down. We're happy if we're able to go to a show, cover our gas, cover our meals, cover our beers. If we're not putting our hand in our pocket, we consider it a success. And like
Perfect.
at the end of the day, the biggest thing through all of this is we've never come into this thing to make money. It's always been just about literally getting on stage with, with each other and have the best half hour of our lives, because that's what it comes down to.
For sure. For
Yeah.
sure. And that's what it should be.
It's a
100%.
hard genre to make money in.
Yeah,
But
we're
no,
telling
it's-
people are playing us on the radio.
So do you when you play shows, what type of venues do you play, and do you stay within Ontario, or do you stay in Southern Ontario, or do you stay like in the Newmarket area? What's that like?
So we pretty much
We go anywhere.
play anywhere that wants to have us. Like we love, like we haven't been able to tour, which is a big thing that I think that is eventually on our bucket list of things to do. Especially, we have looking to finish up our new album soon. So hopefully that might follow, the touring side of things might follow that. But yeah, we're pretty much open to, if someone wants to have us, we'll play it.
We played Montreal. We
Yeah.
played Sudbury. We played North Bay.
Yeah.
We played
Windsor.
Windsor.
Yeah, we're pretty much
Oshawa, Whitby.
pretty much Ontario, Quebec. But we'd like to possibly push that and get out, either see more of Canada, or like my personal bucket list, I'd love to do Europe, because they just treat bands so nicely over there. And maybe the States, but it costs a lot of money to go down there.
Yeah, it costs a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. It reminds me a lot of my world of pro wrestling. Wrestlers travel all over the place for not a lot of pay. They do it
Yeah.
because it's a passion for them. And a lot of people are going to Europe now. Like I've got some friends that are touring Europe all the time these days. It's a crazy life. It's a lot of fun. And, hopefully you get your name out there to the right people, and then you never know what could happen in that kind of a world. But again, just doing it for the love and the passion. Totally love that.
Well, like you said, wrestlers doing the rounds, Mick Foley left his year in Germany, right? So, he was doing the road side of it. You have to put that time in. And at the end of the day, we do love it. You think putting 4 dudes in a van would be awful, but it's actually,
It has its moments.
yeah, it has its moments.
It's
nice.
therapeutic.
It's therapeutic.
Yeah.
To kind of throw it out there, and
Yeah.
I'm just kind of winging it, but there's a wrestling company in Toronto called Demand Lucha, and they always put on shows where they have a band open for the show. Have you ever considered approaching maybe Demand Lucha and saying, "Hey, do you want us to open your show?"
Totally love to do that.
Honestly, I don't know if it's the same. I don't know if it's the same wrestling. I don't know if it's the same guys that did. Do they do it at Lee's Palace?
Yeah.
The Hard Luck.
Yep, Lee's
Yeah, so,
Palace,
we've
and
had, we've had friends bands playing those events. I'd be so open to that. That'd be awesome. I just don't necessarily have the right contacts, or maybe they just don't want us. But that would be awesome.
I can definitely get you a contact.
see
I don't know what can come from that, but
There I see you.
yeah, I'll talk to you about that later. Anyway, that's really cool. That's really, really great. Sean, Mark, any questions that you want to ask?
When you guys are writing, because obviously, as you say, your set consists all of original material. What are your biggest influences? You've all talked about different bands, but obviously, Niall, your influences are a little different than Andrew and Greg. So, what sort of style influences your writing the most, or what bands do you sort of emulate when you're writing?
It's not there's no wide variety. There's a band called Propagandhi from Winnipeg. They're a fantastic band. They've been around since early 90s. Protest the Hero was the biggest thing I've always tried to emulate, because I used to always try and be as technical as possible. But I've slowed that down the faster we've decided to play. My writing usually depends on my mood and what I'm listening to, and it varies. Every Time I Die is another band.
Let me just interrupt you here now. What I think is important about our band, especially between the three of us, is the three of us don't have the same musical influence and taste. We like similar bands. Prop is one band that we can all agree on is amazing, but Andrew's British UK stuff might not be with my hardcore punk, really crappy playing music. So it's hard when people ask us, "Oh, what band do you really see yourself like influenced by?" We usually say Prop because that's the one we can all agree on. But we all have very distinct within the bigger like punk subgenre or genre rather. We're all on different ends of the spectrum.
Well, even sorry to interrupt, but even bigger than that, Greg, aren't you originally a jazz drummer?
I'm not originally a jazz drummer, but I started jazz in high school, and then I've been listening to it since then, and I find that it does influence my playing, and whenever I get a chance to sit down, I will do the old,
Yeah.
I find when you listen to a lot of jazz, it can really influence what you're doing creatively when you sit down to play, even in something like punk music, right?
Totally. I think if you are a good jazz musician of any kind, you can play almost anything.
I agree. 100%.
Cool. I have a question.
Yes, sir.
How much flack did you guys get for the the Rob Ford song?
It all depends.
But open for business.
So it all depends who listened to it. We had a lot of support for it. Definitely a lot of support. But yeah, there has been people being like, "Fuck you," But
I shared this with the guys earlier in our group chat. This video, "Open for Business," where basically you're well. Let me let you explain what it's about.
So yeah, I write the lyrics for all the songs. I consider myself left wing. I have no problem admitting that. And I pretty much I watched a man. I used to work with special needs individuals, and when he was counselor in Toronto, he pretty much banned a kid from being able to live his life because he was aggressive. He had autism, and he pretty much had a petition pretty much in a West End neighborhood to pretty much lock the kid away. And it was one of his campaigning, it was parts of his campaign back years ago. So when he came to the forefront of premier or becoming premier, I don't agree with a lot of his, the platform that he won with, but there wasn't really much of one. And I pretty much announced that in the song. I'm just, I don't know if it's going to cause political debate on the podcast, but
I hope it does.
I am pretty much, I'm very for the people. Whereas, he uses that as his slogan, but when you cut the costs on healthcare and mental health and, you're not really for the people, are you? And we're seeing it now with the investigations going into the green belt and all of his investor buddies and all the developers, and we're dealing with it right now up in there's a Bradford bypass, which is just north of us. Billions of dollars that could be going into
that bypass, if it goes through, will go basically right through my sister's backyard.
Yes. Yeah. So realistically, that Bradford bypass, it's going to save people maybe 10 minutes. And I look at the programming and the lack thereof, especially right now, especially post-COVID, going towards our teachers, going towards the, like you saw it all with the teachers just recently. But what we're dealing with right now with the lack of nursing, and now we're going into private healthcare. And this is stuff that's come out since the song's even been released. I watched a man who pre-COVID was making his promises made off of a buck of beer and changing a license plate rather than dealing with what needs to be dealt with, and that's people's lives. And yeah, I just don't like the guy. I think he's got such a punchable face too. That doesn't help.
I think it's safe to say fuck that guy.
Yeah, Andrew, you are my new favorite person. Absolutely,
Me
my
too.
new favorite person.
Me too.
And just to let you know, my wife is a nurse, so you're probably my wife's new favorite person now too. And but yeah, I mean, I live in Thunder Bay. I moved here for my career that disintegrated a year and a half ago. But it was we moved here for my career, and of course COVID hit, and the doctors were all like, "Oh, it's cool. We're doing virtual visits." Well, you know, I get a call. I have a doctor's appointment, so I'm waiting for my phone call, and they call and go, "Okay, so we're just a reminder of your appointment." I go, "Yeah, no problem. I'm here." And they go, "Okay, so you'll be in the office. My doctor is in Bradford," and I'm like, "Yeah, so I live in Thunder Bay. That's going to be problematic."
Just a little bit,
you know.
Yeah.
So I can't see my doctor virtually anymore because you know he won't allow it. So now I have to figure out how to. Now I've got to plan a week of holidays around just going to see doctors in the Bradford and Newmarket area.
Isn't it great spending your vacation time on getting yourself checked out?
Just fucking wonderful.
And basic healthcare.
And trust me, that's honestly foreshadowing what we're about to go through with the privatization of healthcare.
And people don't see it. They do not see it. And the worst part of it is when that election went through, that last election, and you saw in all the public forums, everybody saying, "I didn't want to support Trudeau." Really? I didn't vote for the guy either, but provincial, federal. Get your head out of your ass.
Yeah, there's so much of that.
Come on.
And like that's a big thing for me is like, you know, I've traditionally voted NDP. Like I said, I'm for the people. The you know, everyone always asks me, you know, like, well, how will you be able? How would the NDP? They can't just create money, you know. They're just going to pull the money out of their ass, like you know. But at the same time, though, you know, the conversation of taxing people who make way more money than any of us do is a conversation. And you know, I have very blue collar friends who support the conservative government, and I go, you guys, why?
How?
This government does not look out for you.
He takes the most from them, and they don't see it.
Exactly.
They don't see it. Yeah.
It's not like they publish it.
I got another hot take. Tax the churches. Tax the churches.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'm not in disagreement on that one, man.
Yeah. I'm an atheist, so I don't give a shit. But well, tax the churches.
All three of us grew up Catholic. I don't think collectively we've been to church in probably since 20 years. Since 20 years or so. But that was another thing, you know, like not Doug Ford related, but another.
Man, I thought this podcast was about music.
Expressions, the CNN episode.
Greg, you're the best, man.
Square again, yeah.
But
Literally,
hey,
I have it right here. What's next for Ship of Fools?
All right,
No,
wrap
wrap
up
it up,
our
Andrew. Go ahead.
It was you brought it up. You were the one that talked about the song, Brian.
I know, and I want to talk about it for sure. I love hearing opinions like that.
At the end of the day, how I see what Ship of Fools has allowed me to do is realistically, you know, sing about things that are close to me. And as someone who grew up Catholic, just going back to that, you know, I've had that awkward conversation with my mom, who was not too happy to hear me say that I'm done with the Catholic Church, but I'm done with the Catholic Church. And when you're, you know, burying, and we've seen it just recently.
They get over it quick. It's not that.
Apparently, yeah, but you know, you see it with what we've just gone through with the Indigenous communities in Canada, you know, and like it's just like they just reiterated my belief that why the fuck should I support these organizations? Because that's what they are. Yeah. They're organizations, right? I might get
profit
for that one, but
100%. We're gonna get somebody from the church on our show. We're gonna find out what's going on. But in the meantime, back to the band. Thank you, Greg. What is next for your band? What are you guys doing? You say you're finishing up an album now, and what you potentially tour? Like what do you guys have plans?
So first off, we're finishing our record. We're nearly done it. We are what? 14, 15 songs 14, in.
15?
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, the plan is to start pre-production, start recording demos, just kind of get a grip on how the songs are going to play out at the end. And then, so we've decided that we are going to write the record without our bassist. I think it would just be too much to put a new bassist in and expect them to record a full album with us. So we're going to write the bass parts. And then from there, once we're done recording the album, we'll be finding a bassist. And then from there, yeah, touring.
Tour the album.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We got to get the album out there.
I wish you guys all the luck in the world. I can't wait to hear what you guys do.
Thank you.
I enjoy your music a lot. It's awesome.
Appreciate it, man.
Energy. I mean, now I was watching the video, just the way, I don't know how you do it. You have a different way of playing that I saw. You're very tight. You got your guitar very high, and you're very tight with your movement, and just very, very, it's like you said it earlier, when the music got faster, you had to change how technical you were. I could see the technical side of how you play. I could see that you're doing the chords and like, just it looked different to me the way you play.
Yeah, I don't know. It just, I guess, comes from my metal background, but yeah, like the tightness makes it easier, but the on-stage antics hurt the body.
I was going to ask you guys about that. Thank you for getting us back there. Hurt the body. So when I saw the videos, you looked like you were in a recording studio just playing, and there wasn't a lot of energy to that side of it. I would imagine on stage it's a completely different thing. And then singing the way you do, Andrew, come on, tell me how that doesn't just shred everything.
I actually have no idea, man. I don't warm up, or I drink, like, when we have a string of shows in a row, I drink tea, probably like 1 tea per 5 beers. But like I like to think I'm protecting my voice that way. But after a show, yeah, give me an hour after my voice is back to what it is.
Wow.
I'm just being able to do it. I have no idea how.
Awesome. And of course, Greg,
obviously,
drumming.
You have to practice. Yeah.
Yeah. Drumming is always a challenge.
Yeah.
It is, but I find, especially when you're playing fast music or something with good tempo, try and stay as loose as possible, and everything becomes much easier. So the opposite to tightening up for Niall, the looser you are, the faster and quicker you can play. So that's my approach. Sometimes I need a break. Sometimes we can't do 5 songs back to back because it's up there, and I'm getting older. The body hurts, but I try my best.
Awesome.
Greg controls the breaks and the sets.
As you should. The drummer's the boss.
Definitely, 100%.
100%. You control everything.
Right. Can't play with us.
Just can't invest in his own fan.
Wait, what? You don't have your own fan?
That's why we have a band fund.
Awesome. All right, guys, we got a couple questions for you before we wrap up things that we usually try and close the show with. First question. Before we get to that, Sean, Mark, anything you want to add?
I got something actually.
Please.
So I hate to steamroll expressions here, but usually on the podcast that I'm on, separate from this, I don't know what it is, but I have a weird fucking thing where I'm always curious about hearing people's guilty pleasures. So considering you guys are so musically inclined and I'm fucking not, I'm curious. So like, I know you guys I know the music you play, and I know the music that you enjoy that led you to that style of music. Now I have a very weird taste in music. And I've said this so many times before, my tongue might fall off if I keep saying it more. Now, my guilty pleasure personally is Barry White. Love Barry White. That shit is like, you put that on in a car, I will drive at speeds that my car probably couldn't go. So curious to see, to hear really, what's like that one artist or like genre that's like so out of the realm of music that you guys put out that just gets you fucking going, and like, you just want to fucking, you either want to punch something, or you want to go for a run. Like, I'm just curious.
That's interesting. I personally love a lot of disco. I do. Like I said, I relate back to my old man, just listening to a lot of music. He used to DJ a lot when he was in his late teens, early 20s. And yeah, he played a lot of disco. So there's some disco I love, like just being as, branded disco as possible. Like the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack from start to finish is incredible.
It is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
You got one now? If not, I'll go.
It's hip hop. Anything
Oh,
hip hop really
that
right
doesn't
now.
count. Niles is Lord. Niall loves Lord.
That's true. He does.
I
Yeah.
do love Lord. 100%. Like if we're talking about like
3 Days Grace.
And 3 Days Grace.
You can talk Billie Eilish on that too.
Yeah, Billie Eilish. You love Billie Eilish on that. Yeah.
I like Billie
Taylor,
Eilish.
Yeah, man.
I guess for me, it would be maybe like
Jazz.
no, jazz doesn't count because Niall likes math rock too, but that's too adjacent to what we're doing. Maybe like the Temptations or something. Maybe some like doo-wop or something from back in the day, kind of thing.
Dope.
Oh, actually, no, I changed my mind. Calypso and soca.
What was that?
Calypso and soca.
That's your father. Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. What about you, Sean?
Fuck me. Oh
Yeah.
man, I don't know. Like aside
from Barry White,
Barry White, dude. Oh man, I could listen to any single one of Adele's albums front to back and be so beside myself because like I'm okay. I love fucking. I'll jam out to any fucking Ghost Inside album any day of the week. Like I don't give a shit. I love them so much, but God forbid if I don't hear an Adele song at least once a month, I go nuts.
that's so
Fair.
random.
Yeah, she's fucking great, man. Fuck, if I could marry any woman, it would have to be Adele. She's sing me to sleep, woman, please.
Mark, what about you, man?
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No, definitely not. You know what? I'm like a fan of the old Bare Naked Ladies stuff, like Gordon. And that's sort of my thing, right? It's I grew up in Newmarket, right? So I went to school with Tyler Stewart, and so like I remember sitting outside the portable at recess, and he'd be in there rocking out to like the knack, My Sharona, like right, and it was just awesome. And I think when the Bare Naked Ladies hit big with Gordon, it was sort of like that, the hometown boy proud of a guy he knew. He wasn't a friend of mine, but I knew him, right? So it was cool. And so that's where I go when I don't listen to it often, but I do own it. It's in that CD cabinet over there somewhere. I don't have it on vinyl. It's not one of the things I have on vinyl. But.
That's definitely a record that, and thank you for reminding me because I need to add it to my collection. I don't think I've ever seen a pressing of it, but it needs to be pressed if it hasn't been.
Yeah, it was right in the heyday of CDs, right?
Yeah,
so it was probably not done. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just recently repurchased a turntable, so
beautiful.
I put together a nice little sound system that I need to find a way to make it set up so it's not just sitting on the kitchen table. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I see a little shelf behind you that it might fit on, maybe.
Yeah. Well, this is all moving out. All the guitars and everything are moving into another room, so we'll see.
No.
Yeah. Well, no, it's I'm taking over the dining room. It's going to be guitars, amps, and actually, I think I'm going to put the stereo in there, right? So it's going to be my music.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. So
All right.
Upgrading.
that's right. Yeah. I'm taking over. It was actually my wife's idea. So yeah.
Okay.
Okay, guys, let's start to wrap this up a little bit. I'm going to ask you the questions of the evening.
Oh no.
I sent the email, didn't I, to you guys? The invitation email?
That would be Niall.
That would be not.
That went to the ship email.
Andrew?
Oh, I haven't checked.
Okay. Anyway, in that, I asked if you would like to issue a challenge to our listeners. I don't know if off the cuff you have an idea of a challenge. We can come back to that after I ask you the other questions if you like. But the challenge is usually something that I don't think anybody ever does, but we issue anyway because we're a creative show and we want to get people thinking and being creative.
I did the challenge. The challenge.
Which challenge?
Jace's challenge.
Yes.
Yeah, when Jace was on, I wrote the poems. Yeah,
that's right. That's right. All right. Well, if you have a challenge, awesome. If not, I will move to the next question. You can come.
Yeah, move to the next one. I will try and think of one while I try and answer the other questions.
I've got a pretty
Perfect.
bad answer to that.
Go ahead.
Try and do one nice thing for one other person.
One night, what?
Do one nice thing for one other person.
One nice thing.
That's a challenge.
Coming from a Canada Post employee, I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that, Greg.
It's because I don't trust us to come up with something better than that.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, awesome. All right.
I was gonna be
perfect.
like eat a packet of hot sauce or something like that. But,
Greg, thank you.
You're welcome.
The last challenge was write poems, and we're issuing hot sauce
Well,
chez.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, I'll take the hot sauce challenge. I got like 12 different flavors in there. So
Oh fuck, been there, done that. It's on YouTube and it's not fun. It's not fun.
I could just think of a Johnny Cash song that would relate to that. Burning ring of fire. Anyway, so other questions. Speaking of songs, what's your jam? What's that one song that you absolutely love? You can't skip past. Every time it comes on, it's your 5-star. That's the one that you have to hear.
ooh. I'm gonna go off the cuff and go against not necessarily the music I always listen to, but "One Kiss" by Dua Lipa. Every single time that song comes on, it's full blast.
I don't know that.
Interesting. Cool.
Yeah, 100%.
Now,
Rose Garden by Shad.
Right on.
Shad, the Shad? Sorry.
His name's Shadrach Kabango, London, Ontario.
Oh, right on.
for me, I guess I would go maybe "Gang Control" by Leftover Crack. No, I'll take it back. Back to the Motor League, Propaganda.
Ah, nice.
Back to the what?
Back to the Motor League, Propaganda. Probably one of my favorite songs by them.
I will have to look into that.
Yeah.
I found
It's
some
got
pretty
a
cool
really
songs.
good guitar solo at the end of it. If you guys like guitar solos.
I love a good guitar solo, man. Drum
I had
solo's better, but
I had a weird feeling that like I thought Niall was gonna say like Blood Meat or something. I was like, oh, please say it, please.
Oh, oh, if it's off that, it's Goddess Bound for sure.
Oh, so good. Love that fucking track. Oh,
That whole album.
god damn it! Now I
This
gotta go
is-
fucking
I
listen
got
to
Andrew
Protest
sick
now.
of it.
this is the reason I asked the
Damn.
question, because I am music starved. Like I'm still listening to Rush. I mean, the Police.
Yeah.
This is still the stuff I listen to every day, right? Like I need something new that is going to kick my ass every time I hear it, like Tool did, and I can't stop listening and talking about. But anyway, moving to the next question, the final question, I guess you could say of the day, but we already got your challenge. Beautiful. So the final question of the day, your tool of the trade. So a tool of the trade doesn't have to be a specific tool. It can be a concept. It could be a way of thinking. We had one guest say it was his ADHD. That's his tool of the trade. What would you guys consider to be that one thing that you rely on to succeed in your daily life?
Go ahead.
I have really big hands. So
Trust
Big
me.
hands.
that helps me.
Holy shit!
Well, as a drummer, hell yeah.
Holy shit!
Oh, fuck.
That could have gone so many different ways. But
I
It
know.
still could. It still could. You never know what's going to
I'm
happen
just
next.
so glad he said hands.
I think he's implying something else, but we're going to move past it. As a drummer, that's handy. See what I did there?
Yeah.
Handy.
Exactly.
All right.
Well, you got to hand it to him. Yeah.
But
Oh man, I'm gonna go be like, it's my motivation, it's my motivation. My every day, I want to strive to be the best version of myself. But actually, no, like it kind of is that weird way of like, every day I wake up, I want to try something new. I want to do something different, and I want to just build on, try to make my life the best it can be. Whether that be in the band or at work, they kind of coincide with each other. So, yeah.
so your
Boring.
attitude.
The boring answer.
Good answer. I mean, that's exactly what it needs to be. Perfect.
Yeah. Man.
Niall.
Well, see, big hands. That's good. That's good. Because I got these dainty little hooves for hands. I just trust your gut. Like, I guess it's going to be boring like Andrew's, but it's pretty much down the middle of whether it comes to writing or anything you do. Like I don't dwell on, I guess if it's like in terms of the writing, I don't dwell on like whether people are going to like it or not. I just like, if it works with me and it's worked for the guys, it's good.
If it sounds right, it sounds right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome. Guys, this has been a lot of fun. I really appreciate you being here, taking the time. Where can people find your music? Where can people find Ship of Fools?
So you can find us on all social media platforms. Everything's different though. Every username's different, which it was a big mistake we made early in our band days.
Spunk? Something about spunk, maybe?
This guy.
Yeah. That's one that still haunts me to this day. But yeah, it was Ship of Fools Punk, yes. But if you can take out the end of the statement there,
Everyone has
for
dirty
the most part,
minds.
Instagram for social media is the best way to get a hold of us, and that's just Ship of Fools Official. You can find us on Bandcamp. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Music,
Deezer, Tidal.
yeah, all the streaming
What's
services.
the Quebec one? QB?
I can't even remember.
There's a Quebec one though. It's
Yeah.
Quebec Bandcamp. We're on
YouTube as well. We're on YouTube. You know, you just if you check us out, give us a follow, a like, whatever it may be. It helps. Goes a long way.
Absolutely.
As you guys know, trying to promote your podcast, right? You gotta push.
Exactly.
It's a pain in the ass.
But
100%. Any support goes a long way. I wish
But-
more people realized how important it is.
oh, it's so important. But honestly, at the same time, just like you guys, we do this because we love doing it as well.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if it never gets bigger than what it is today, I think we'll still keep doing it for the same reasons we're doing it today.
Absolutely.
You got to love it. And as a musician, former, I guess you could say, musician, I totally Jones daily to get behind a drum set. So I love that you guys are sticking to it. I love that you've been together as long as you have. 40 Cases was together for about 2 years before I moved out here, and they're still in Oshawa. And that's a regret, you know? So I'm glad you
Yeah.
guys definitely stay with it for the love of it, for the right reasons. And I really hope to see huge things from you guys down the road for sure.
Appreciate that, man.
Appreciate that.
Thank
Oh,
you
you're
very-
welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. So thank you one last time. Sean again, Mark again. Thank you both for being here this week. Anything you want to add before we say goodnight?
No, I'm good. Just thanks for being here. It's been fun.
Absolutely.
Good, buddy.
Thanks, guys. You guys are fucking. You guys are pretty cool. You know, I mean, I came into this. I was like, oh, cool. You know, I'm talking to more musicians. This is gonna be fun. And then, you know, I figured out that we all have some good music taste that we share in common. So this is good. I'm happy. This is a good
And Greg has
conversation.
big hands.
And I have
Greg has big
I
hands.
feel your pain. I feel your pain. All right,
You
guys.
see the tagline on this one. Yeah, Mark hits a tragically hip. Greg has big hands.
Yeah.
Big hands.
That'll get us a lot of
Keep the
views and some. We're not sure where the hate's going to come from. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, guys. Until next time, we love our viewers. We thank you so much for watching and listening to our show, and we hope you keep it up. Remember, like Andrew said, we need the love too. Like, subscribe, tell the world that we're doing it, and we'll see you all next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Ooh.